Yeah, they hate when you elevate.
ATP, what it do with your boy Clay More Rain? It's that ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out to all my subscribers again. Shout out to you guys. If it's your first time peeping in the content, I'm going to go ahead and invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit your bell icons as well, so you are getting alerts when this content is dropping. So look, November 8th weekend looks like it's going to be one of those weekends this year. We're getting close to the end of the year, in the fourth quarter of the year. A great year in boxing, by the way. A lot of great boxing happening this year. I mean, obviously, you know, some platforms have been a little bit slower, but you know, between Turkey Al Sheik and what Golden Boy's been able to put together, and Bob Arum, what Top Ranks have been able to put together, and of course PBC coming with the events that they've been able to put out, big events, and it looks like they're going to close the year out. The year's going to be closed out with some great fights. But this weekend in particular, November 8th weekend, we've got two back-to-back barn burner cards. We've got Keyshawn Davis and Gustavo Limos starting the weekend off November 8th with a crazy card, super undercard on there. Keyshawn brings his brothers out on this debut for himself as a headliner in his hometown. From what I understand, this situation is damn near sold out, if it's not sold out already. Keyshawn Davis actually being able to put himself in position to potentially get a title shot after this. So this is a big fight for him. And a fighter like Gustavo Limos, a Argentinian come forward kind of fighter. When you think about Gustavo Limos, you think about Brian Castano, you think about Marcus Maidana, you think about these come forward aggressive fighters, and this right up Keyshawn Davis's aisle, potentially, being that Keyshawn Davis seems to really loves to be part of a big show. And if you guys watch his last fight he had a few months behind, when Shakur Stevenson headlined the card, Keyshawn Davis pretty much took the show that night, fighting against Miguel Madueño, who, in my opinion, although he's Mexican, a very similar approach, very similar style to a Gustavo Limos. And Keyshawn was able to steal the show, given an exciting fight, and looks like he's going to get an opportunity to potentially have a fight of the year candidate fighting against Gustavo Limos. 135-pound division is stacked right now with a lot of opportunities. It's kind of wide open a little bit, but not so much. When you look at the fact that Shakur Stevenson is a WBC champion down there right now, you've got obviously Gervonta Tank Davis, one of the faces of boxing right now, holding a WBA title in that division. And of course, you have Lomachenko holding an IBF title. Right now, Dennis Berinchenko, a top-ranked fighter, holding down the WBO title. When you think about top rank at 135 pounds right now in the championships, they seem to have a pretty good representation in the division. At one point, having three of the belts, damn near three of the belts, if I'm correct, right? You have Shakur Stevenson, you got Lomachenko, you got Dennis Berinchenko, right? All top-ranked fighters at one point in time. Now Shakur Stevenson, of course, moving on to greener pastures, working it out with Matchroom over there and Eddie Hearn, but still holding two of those belts in that division between Lomachenko and Dennis Berinchenko. Keyshawn Davis has a great opportunity, right? He puts on a great performance here, fight of the year candidate. He does that, and of course Bob Arum, naturally we're thinking, might put Keyshawn Davis in position to become a champion in that division. That puts him in the conversation of making some big fights, not only with Shakur Stevenson, even though Keyshawn Davis has said that he would never fight his brother, but more importantly, the face of boxing in Tank Davis, and a potential unification title fight. Big payday for Keyshawn Davis, and an exciting fight for the fans across the board to see. Now, when you look at also a potential fight with a legend in Vasily Lomachenko, Keyshawn Davis has an opportunity to make a huge statement this week, and we'll see, that weekend of November 8th, and we'll see what he does with it, right? On top of that, Keyshawn Davis is hosting, he is the headliner of this card, but this card has a huge amount of talent looking on. Let's check it out right here as we look at a prospect who's damn near a contender at this point, some people might say, but being kept so busy, one of the most active fighters in the 135-pound division right now, and Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason coming in on about 6 to 7 fights at this point on a calendar year, on a 12-month from November 8th to November 8th last year. damn near 7 fights, right? Super active. Clearly, Top Rank sees a lot in this kid, as well as the whole entire boxing space, looking like prospect of the year material. Probably will be prospect of the year. Abdullah Mason is going to be on that card, stepping up the competition against a Yolan Vasquez, a puncher. We'll see how that turns out for him as they're stepping up the level of competition he's going through. Questions about whether or not he will stay at 135, campaign at 135, and potentially get into making some big fights in that division, or will he move up to 140 pounds? He has a big frame on him. The kid is growing into his man strength. We don't know what the future holds for him in 2025, but right now his eyes is on the prize of making a statement like he's been doing all year in this card. So we got Abdullah Mason also on that undercard. We're bringing out Mega Troy Isley, who's going to be coming out on that card as well. And of course, all of the Davis brothers, Kelvin Davis and Keon Davis, is going to be on that card. Keon Davis actually making his debut on that card. So the 3 businessmen, as Keyshawn Davis likes to let everybody know all the time, will be on the same card in their hometown in Norfolk, Virginia, and get to steal the show. Will they make it happen? Will Keyshawn go ahead and deliver like he's normally been delivering, as he's had a great year so far, starting the year off, coming off of a suspension, right, for marijuana use, got an opportunity to fight Jose Pedraza at the beginning of the year, stopped Jose Pedraza, walked into a Miguel Medueno fight, exciting fight, physical fight that he was able to dominate at certain points and just show his grit, you know, and how exciting a fighter he is, and then get to close out the year against a Gustavo Limos. He puts on that kind of performance. We're going to see great things for Keyshawn Davis. And of course, we got a couple other fights on the card as well that we could go over. Overall, for a free fight card on a Friday night that Top Rank is delivering, I'm saying this is a great way to start the weekend. But how do we end the weekend? Well, we go into Saturday night, right? We go into Saturday night where Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be headlining his second event in Philadelphia, as he'll be going against Karen Kukujajin, a rematch of sorts. And although Jaron Boots Ennis did win this fight hands down, right? Like, he won this fight hands down. It was the one fight that people use against him. They try to say he wasn't able to cut the ring off. It was a lackluster fight. You know, almost looked human in that fight, meaning that people are now used to seeing Jaron Boots Ennis in the most exciting fights. Now, although this fight was controversial because Jaron Boots Ennis and Eddie Hearn did seem to try to get out of making this fight happen. They tried to connect the dots and make fights happen to unify in the division against Brian Norman, against the other champions in the division like Mario Barrios, right? You know, Imiantis Stanionis wasn't able to put that together. There were even rumors of Jaron Boots Ennis potentially moving up to 154 pounds, as it was just an uphill battle, a rough uphill battle for him to get these fights. But it looks like him and Eddie Hearn got on the same page, as well as Bozy Ennis, and said, listen, let's make one more run at it. Let's go ahead and defend this mandatory against Karen Kukudashian. Let's see if we can make a statement in this fight. And then, you know, the next steps after that, maybe build an opportunity to, off that momentum that was built with all the controversy going between him and Brian Norman Jr., and see if they can make a big unification title fight there, and see if they can convince the other title holders in the division to join in on some unification and potentially some undisputed championships in the welterweight division. But it all starts on November 9th for Jaron Boots Ennis, as him and Karen Kukudashian get to run it back again. Let's see if Jaron Boots Ennis is able to make a statement in this fight, cut the ring off, make things happen. And even though Karen will probably be being very elusive in this fight, moving around, let's see if Jaron Ennis can go ahead and cut the space and make something happen. And at the same time, listen, guys, the Eastern Europeans have been doing some great things this year, right? We just watched what happened to Tim Tszyu with Bakram Moriatalazayev. I hope I'm saying that right. I can never say it right. You see what the Eastern Europeans have been doing this year between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, obviously with Alexander Usyk becoming undisputed heavyweight champion, and we now have an Eastern European undisputed light heavyweight champion, and we can go all the way down the list. In each division, you can see an Eastern European making a statement. We'll see what Karen does this time as well. Maybe he steps to his game sort of like a Bakram did. Maybe he learned some things from that fight with Jaron Boots Ennis. This is an opportunity for him to become an IBF champion. Maybe he steps his game up. Maybe he shows the world a little something different. Has a potential of being one of the best fights of the weekend, to be honestly stealing the headline of that card. But without a doubt, Jaron Boots Ennis has definitely got some competition coming his way on Fight of the Night, as we do have Bam Rodriguez. Jesse Bam Rodriguez is going to be co-headlining the card, fighting Pedro Guevara on this card. If you guys remember Jesse Bam Rodriguez, you might not remember him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We don't follow follow the super flyweight guys that much, but with a Monster Inoue and fighters like Bam Rodriguez making statements down there, more attention is coming to the division. Bam Rodriguez coming off an excellent performance, stopping Juan Estrada in his last fight. He's in his last matchroom fight, one of the fights of the year candidates as well. He's going to be making his debut over here on the East Coast with Jaron Boots Ennis as a headliner and him as a co-headliner on the card. It's going to be a beautiful fight without a doubt. We can expect great things to happen from that fight. And also on that card, Raymond Ford making his debut, I believe, at 130 pounds. Don't quote me. I believe he will be making his debut in at 130 pounds. You guys remember Raymond Ford, a big-time contender coming out of New Jersey, had one of the most exciting fights last year and brought this year in at a Riyadh season card where he fought against Nick Ball. He lost a very close split decision against Nick Ball when Nick Ball became the WBA champion. But Raymond Ford making a statement and showing the kind of grit that he has, now making a move to 130, where he hopes to put himself in the conversations with the Lamont Roaches, the Oshaki Forces, the Robinson Casacios, the Emmanuel Navarrates. He's trying to put himself in that division and have himself in the biggest conversations in that division. And it's going to be exciting to see what he does coming out on this card as well. Now, as well on this card, if you guys remember Jaron Boots and his last card, Khalil Cole, a light heavyweight, made a huge statement stopping the last contender he fought against, and we're looking for him to continue to do that because, listen, Khalil Cole wants to make statements in his division. He wants to say, listen, I'm here for it. I want to be a champion. I want to challenge the biggest names in the light heavyweight division. I'm one of those guys. Jaron Boots Ennis, I believe, is I don't want to say his manager, but he's under Jaron Boots Ennis's banner, as well as obviously Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. So he gets to make a big, gets another opportunity to make a statement to the space. We'll be looking forward to see how he does it. And as you go down the list, I think another honorable mention, I don't want to see here breaking down every single fight, obviously, right? But I think we can look at, where's the young bull at? Zakeen Moses, a young cousin of Shakur Stevenson, right? When you think about Moses, Shakur Stevenson's coach, I believe this is his nephew or his grandson. Yeah, his grandson, I believe. And he'll be making his professional debut on this fight as well. This card is going to be a great card in Philadelphia. Philadelphia shows up for Jaron Boots Ennis. Everybody comes out. The last event was a super success. This event, I would think, is going to do the same thing. Although people weren't very excited about Karen Kadaschian being a fighter that Jaron Boots Ennis had to fight, the city supports Jaron Ennis, really supports him and will show up and show out for him. I have no doubt about it. And Jaron gets to perform under the lights again and show everybody why he is the best welterweight in the division. And listen, after this fight, we'll look to see some title unifications going on for him if he's able to come out on the other side of this with a victory, which I'm sure he is favored to do that. We'll look for him to do a unification title fight. There's some momentum built there with the Norman family, as the last bit of negotiation between them became a very messy public situation, but more importantly, put a lot of eyes on their situation. You got to think there's got to be some money there. There's got to be some excitement there, possibly pay-per-view potential there if they can put that together. And obviously a title unification fight, being that Brian Norman Jr. is a WBO champion in that division. So we'll see what Jaron Boots Ennis does and what he does afterwards. We'll talk, obviously, once he puts this one in the books. But at the end of the day, the weekend is going to be an epic weekend of boxing. If you're into boxing and you're a real boxing fan, the weekend of November 8th has got to be one that you check off on your calendar, because it's going to be a barn burner weekend. We don't know who's going to take it that weekend. You guys might want to let me know in the comments who you think is the fight that's going to steal it this weekend. I mean, on that weekend, which is not this weekend, coming up the following weekend. And obviously, even coming up this weekend, we got Oshaki Forster getting the opportunity to get his rematch against Robinson Casacios for that WBC 130-pound a championship belt. That should be a great fight, and the card should be a decent card in that one. But I'm telling you guys, November 8th, that card's going to be something to watch, man. When we talking about content from a content creator's point of view, 100% is going to be there. But from a boxing fan's point of view, great fights, titles on the line, legacy on the line. You got people who are going to be catapulting their career, like Keyshawn Davis. This fight making a difference on what he sees as far as titles are concerned on his next couple of fights. Jaron Ennis making, whether it be his run at a defending his IBF title? And does he get an opportunity afterwards to go ahead and unify in that division? Or if he's not able to unify in that division, if for some reason Brian Norman doesn't show any interest, or they're not able to come to an understanding, and the other champions in the division aren't able to come to a common ground with him, then we might be looking at Jaron Ennis making his last showcase at 147 pounds, and maybe his next fight will be at a 154. There are already rumors about a February 22nd card Turkey Al-Sheikh is going to be hosting, and they want to put Jaron Boots Ennis against Virgil Ortiz on that card. That's a 154-pound fight right there. So listen, sky's the limit for Jaron Boots Ennis, and it all starts off November 9th for him. You guys let me know in the comments, though, which card do you think you're looking at to see the most here? Who do you think steals the show this weekend? I mean, that weekend, right? Who do you think steals the show that weekend? Will it be Keyshawn Davis and Gustavo Limos? Or will Jaron Boots Ennis be able to make, something exciting happen with Karen Kadaschian? Like I told you guys, don't sleep on Karen. These Eastern Europeans are fundamentally very sound. Karen knows what's on the line here. Don't be surprised if he doesn't stand his ground a little bit. Don't be surprised to see a little bit more of a mid-range fight. Not completely. I expect Karen to use his feet as he did in that first fight, but he lost that first fight, so we can't possibly think duplicating what he did in the last fight is going to get him what he needs. He's going to have to mix it up a little more, take some chances. He's going to have to show that he wants to be a champion, and these Eastern European fighters are very legacy driven, right? Maybe he showed out a little bit and thought that was an opportunity to win that fight that way, win the judges over, just to get himself up there. But now he's here, right? He's here. His actual promotional company, I believe, is who's financing this fight. They won the bid on this. They decided to go ahead and do it in Philadelphia. I don't think he's coming to waste his time. There's a potential for this fight to do a lot of great things, and maybe even see Jaron Boots Ennis tested in a real way to build his followership up. And of course, Jesse Bam Rodriguez doing the same thing, as I'm even hearing rumors of him willing to fight Monster anyway. What does that mean? Does that mean we can see Jesse go up a couple of weight classes to go fight Monster anyway at 122? That'd be a huge epic fight, right? But it all starts November 8th and November 9th for all these fighters to make their statements. You guys let me know what you're thinking. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Once again, shout out to all my subscribers. I appreciate the support you guys give us here, keeping the channel moving forward. Without you guys, there's no me. So, salute to all of you guys. If this is your first time tapping into the content, as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit your bell icon as well next to that subscribe button, so you are getting these alerts when I'm dropping content like this. And you guys know how we carry it. Salute and much love. But at this point, we out.